This time of the quick speed shop, I'm going to show you how to do the right thing the wrong way. We're going to put cab corners in my 95 Ford Super Cab F250 by using a patch panel, but we're only going to do it halfway the way you should do it because I don't want to take the box off. I don't have time to do that. So we're going to try to get it on there the best way we can, but it's going to be better than what we got, and that's a big hole. So let's start hacking and try to get this panel mounted up in here. All right, like I said, back there behind me, my 95 Ford F250, these things, these super cabs, they all rot in the cab corners, and I'll show you why right now. There, we just happen to have a donor example of a super cab truck out here. It's the 93 F250, but in the cab corners, they put foam. You see behind this rust, you see this gray foam here that's mushing on my finger? It's about this tall in the cab corner, goes all the way up here and actually goes into the door jamb a little bit. Oh. And it seals it up from the inside. It goes up and into here. You see here, about to here. And the cab corner is full of this foam, and it holds moisture, and every single super cab is rotted out because of that foam. Over here on this side, we can get a better look at it. Here's the foam here. You can see somebody used body filler and tried to go over it and fix it at one time, but you see the glob of foam there, way up into here. It just holds moisture and rots it out. And what eventually happens is your door jamb rots away like that, and then your cab corner gets loose from the rocker panel and basically turns your truck into junk. So see how loose that is. Then the door doesn't close right, shakes the cab. We want to prevent all that, so we're going to go fix my truck finally most of the way. Up here on my daily driver truck, you can see I temporarily had patched the driver's side. I made a piece of sheet metal and just zip screwed it in there, and it wraps around, but my tape is coming off and it's starting to rust the sheet metal, and it's getting in there, and you can see it's starting to rot the cab corner at the door, and I don't want to lose it. So it's coming up on winter time. I've got to put a cab corner in this. So I bought this cab corner off Rock Auto back in 2019. That's right, what year is it now? 2025. So 6 years ago I planned on doing this, and I never got around to it because to do this right, you can see the cab corner panel goes around the back of the cab. You need to have the box off and back a couple, like a foot, so you can get to it. We're not going to do it the right way. We're going to do it the down and dirty way to get it on here, and we got to do some structural inner rocker repair now, and I got a trick to do that. But first thing we're going to do is I want to make the splice for this up on, that's got a dent in it. I want to make a splice for this up here on this panel down here. Now this truck is not a show truck by any stretch of imagination. Obviously it's got damage all over it. The whole side's rusty. But it, like I said, I want to keep the cab from falling apart. So we are going to just spot weld this along this panel, overlap them, and we're going to seam seal it. We're just going to paint it black, hit the track, and then throw some more fluid film. That's all the slime is here. Fluid film on it. It'll blend back in with the filth on the bottom of the truck. You'll never know the difference, but it's going to be way better than a rotted out cab corner. Now that escalated quickly. As you can see, we got extensive damage here, and I've let it go so bad it's actually rotted into the inner part of the back of the truck here. There's actually plastic back here, which is an interior panel. Oh, I found a bunch of money. Look at this. Hold on a minute. We just pulled some money right out of here, out of the back seat hole. Might have made this repair worth it already. It's 21 cents. Look at that. Bam. What else is back there? Oh, a rivet, a pencil. So, obviously I let it go way too long. Now we're into the interior, but we're not going to really worry about that for the most part. We're just going to try to close it up. The best thing to do, like I said, we're not going to do this the right way. We're going to just try to get it going for what I got to do for wintertime. We might just take a panel. Oh, there's more of this foam. Oh my God, look at this. No wonder it's smoking. There's that gray foam there. This stuff is terrible. It's nasty. Is there any more of it? That's sharp. Nope. Some kind of goo. Yuck. Anyways, this is a brace here. It's got a hole in it there, but this is a brace that comes down and ties into here. So we're going to have to make a little piece to put that back together. And there's more of that. But before that, I want to repair this piece. The rocker panel cab corner wraps around just like the rocker panel here. And here's a pro tip. I've refixed these trucks before, and these are like slip-on rocker panels for the front of the door. And what I do is I buy these. They're cheap. They're like 25 bucks. And I cut this portion here. You see where it's overlapped? I cut this portion off the slip-on rocker, and I use that to replace these pieces. Well, it leaves me with this center of the rocker, which I save because why throw it away? So this is the same shape as this, obviously, and we need something to repair this to have the outer cab corner wrap around. So we're going to cut this here and shorten it up and replace this piece. This will give me the structure on the outside, if we can kind of guesstimate what it's like. Give me the structure to tie the outside of the rocker back in and seal a lot of this up. Back here it's going to be a little different because it's rounded in the back, but we're just going to kind of go over that. We're going to use some seam sealer and stuff on that later on and just kind of seal this thing up the best we can to keep most of the moisture out of it and the salt. But before the foam, it just kept rotting and rotting no matter what I did. You got to get the foam out of there. So we'll be able to keep the repair below the body line. You won't really notice it. You know, this truck is dark. Obviously, you won't really notice it. If it was white, you would. But I'm not really concerned about that. You could always rattle can it, whatever you want to do. There is a pencil stuck back in here. Ooh, it's a long one. Huh. There we go. Just pulled a pencil out of there along with our change. What else is in there? So I've been cutting away here off camera. I trimmed the cab corner down so we got a workable piece now that we can slip up on there. And if you haven't noticed already, we got a problem with our inner cab corner. Did I cut the door? I scratched the door. Oh, it's just dirt. I was cutting some of the rust off this piece here, and all the spot welds are rusted on this inner seam, and all of a sudden the piece just popped right off. So this is the floor of the truck here where this inner panel attaches, but this piece has come loose, and it's actually just spot welded here, so I can break it off the front rocker. They add this on as an extension. Obviously the regular cabs would curve back up into the cab, and then the super cabs, they got this piece, so they'll break this off in a second. But I think we're still going to be okay. I think I can reshape my inner rocker piece that we're going to use and spot weld it right to the floor, and we'll reattach it just like factory and reestablish our piece that actually be a better repair. Yeah, you can see, oh yeah, that seam is all trashed, so we'll get rid of that guy too. And I'm going to have to do a little bit more trimming. We're getting dark here, it's after work, but we got to do what we got to do. We're in the driveway making it happen. So that's one layer of metal there. I'm going to trim this piece. This inner piece is just going to be loose in here, floating around. It's bare metal right there. Maybe we can zip screw something to it just to hold it around a little bit so it doesn't rattle. But we are good. Also, I found a quarter now, so now we're up to 20, 40, 46 cents. Perfect. So, oh, what's this? Dog hair. Nasty. Wait a minute, I see more money. I see more money. This is going to pay for itself by the time we get done digging away here. Man, that's oh, there's a, what is it? What is it? There's a bug carcass. That's great. It's a nickel. Come here. Come on out of there. Come see us. There's a torque screw. I bet that is mine. That's a T15 I lost a long time ago. It looks like it. That's a snap-on Torx bit that I lost. Oh, here comes the nickel. There we go. Nice. I think we're good now. Yeah, we're nice and solid on this piece here. All the way across. Obviously that's not solid, but this structure is nice and solid, so we can tie back into that and we'll tie down. So I've trimmed the inner piece. Let's see how that lines up if we bring it over here with this flange. See, it's a little too long. It's hanging way outside here. But I think if I cut this flange off the back and I take it on my little brake and I break it down so it comes in like this, we can mark it and attach it. We'll spot weld it right back to that, and then it'll establish this on here. And I'm not looking for perfection, like I said. This is what it is, but we're going to be a lot more solid than we were. And I'll probably just butt weld this right to this rocker to seal that up. We'll get it sucked in here, and then we'll throw the cab corner on it after we throw a little bit of primer and stuff on it. It'll be perfect. And then on the back, I'm just going to wrap it, do a couple spot welds, or actually is there room to weld? I might throw just a couple of zip screws and then seam seal it there, because I don't want to set this panel on fire with the welder or any cloth on fire. Okay, I ground the edge of this where we're going to weld all the way up, and I've got some weld through primer. It's by Seymor, it's PBE. This stuff works really good, dries really fast. I've ground the paint off up here. We're going to overlap it and weld as well. So I'm just going to fog a little on there. And this stuff dries really fast. Try not to get it on the door. We just did, but that's got fluid film on it, so it should wipe off. Go there, and just go in here where we're going to reattach. This is going to be fine and dandy. And I'll also put it on the inside of our panels when we go to weld them on, but I'll let this set up for just a little bit while I figure out where to cut and bend the flange on this piece. And I'll do that while this primer's drying. Then we'll come in, and basically all we're going to have to do is spot weld this guy in place, and that'll establish our inner structure. And then we're going to plug weld through the outer piece into here on the bottom side. I have a spot welder gun I could use and go bzz, 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 but it's probably just as easy just to plug welder. I can use this zip screws to hold it together tightly, then take the screws out one at a time and plug weld it up from the bottom. That'll probably be the easiest thing to do instead of getting the spot welder out. Hey, I gotta shut it down for tonight because it's getting late and it's getting really cold out tonight. It's gonna be in the 30s, and my big reason I got to shut down is I've got to disconnect the battery to weld on the truck, and I got to drive it tomorrow to work, and I don't want to disconnect the battery right now. So I've got everything in primer. I'm going to clean it all up here, but I've got the piece ready to, I'm going to drill some holes in here so I can plug weld it from the back. I've had to clean it's got fluid film on the back. I clean that off. The gap is a little wide on the top because of the way I bent it. There's going to be a gap in here, but I can seam seal that from the inside before we put the outside on, so that'd be okay. We're going to plug weld along this panel here. We're going to butt weld it to the existing inner structure of the rocker panel. Then we'll add this piece down here, and then as soon as that's done, we get it fitted up, and then we can start fitting the outer rocker on. I've only got about an hour and a half into this. A lot of it was just cleanup work, but the actual fab work is not very much at all. So once we get this guy ready to go on here, we'll just buzz it on, seam sealed all real good. I'll let it dry, let the seam sealer set up, and then I'll just scuff it and shoot it with some flat black paint, and it'll be perfect. But we're gonna be sealed up all the way around nice. And the other side, I've got to do that. I'm just gonna do that off camera. No sense doubling up here, but we'll see a real down and dirty way to put a cab corner in a Super Cab Ford old body style F-250. All right, it's the next day. It's on the weekend here, and it's warmed up a little bit. I had to wait for some rain in the morning, but we're making good progress now. Oh, my blanket just blew off. Whoops. I got a blanket protecting the interior. I got to re-secure that. But anyways, I got the inner rocker here just kind of tacked in. I did this off camera, just getting ready here. And I'll show you how it fits. I got a piece of foam in there. Get out of there. It fits good. I just got it barely tacked here while we're fitting up the rocker. I've done a bunch of trimming on the rocker, or the cab corner piece, and it's ready to go. There's a little ding in it that came from the factory, or came from shipping. I don't think I'm going to bother fixing it because, you know, we're just doing this down and dirty. But you can see I've sprayed weld through primer all inside. I ground the black paint off and sprayed weld through primer everywhere I'm going to be welding. And now what we're going to do is just make sure this thing's going to fit pretty good. And then we're going to weld the inner rocker into place, get that all ready to go. In here I'm going to brush some brushable seam sealer in this seam. Once I squeeze it together and plug weld it, we're going to add a couple little brackets down from here, just a sheet metal, and then something from here just to tie that in. And seam seal all up in here real good. Maybe blow a little bit of paint in there, a little bit more primer, and then we'll be ready to apply the cab corner over it. And once we start putting it on, it's just going to go on. And the seam's going to be right below the body line here, so there'll be a little bit of seam sealer. All right, with this guy tacked on here, I'll just show you how the cab corner fits. It fits real tight in the back because it's overlapping the original sheet metal. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to push it ahead and tack it in the front to get it where I want to get it. But if I push it in place, you can see how tight it fits right now. And well, that blanket's stopping this, but if I go up here and line the front where I want it, the body line's going to be good. We're going to be right flush there. We're going to have a little bit of showing here, but the sheet metal is going to come right up just below the body line. This primer is about 1/2 inch below the body line. But back here you can see how this is going to fit. This bottom piece is tight. We're going to plug weld into the bottom pieces, and pretty much we're going to install that new cab corner, and it's going to be close enough for government work, like I've been saying. It's going to be work good, and I'm just going to drill some holes in this first, and then we're just going to push it up here, push on it, and plug weld them. Plug weld them, plug weld them right to the sheet metal, and then we'll just seam seal the seam and paint it, and it's going to be as close as I'm going to be able to get it to what it is to be what it is. So I've drilled holes on this lower edge here behind this. I'm just going to clamp them and weld them together real fast and get this piece locked in. So it's hard to get the camera under there. So we'll come back when this guy is welded on permanently. All right, we're ready for action here. I've got the cab corner seam sealed. The inner piece, I use this brushable seam sealer from Eastwood. It works really good. I've used it on a whole bunch of projects. And then I just added a little, what do you call it, like a brace to extend that brace. I didn't go to full way because this is all punky up in here, so I just added it to the corner where it's the strongest. You know, it's got a couple of pinholes just because goo was running out of there. Had a fire behind there. But we got that good. The seam sealer's tacking up. It's going to be fine. But I'm ready to put the cab corner on. It's all I can do. What I can do to do. This is all primered in here. Got primer in here. I've drilled the cab corner for plug welds on the outside up there and then on the bottom. And then I'm just going to do, like I said, a little weld in the corner, and then I'm going to actually probably drill it and put a couple of bolts through the back side here, just because this is all exposed, it's open. But what we're going to do first is we're going to land the front. I'm going to tack it right where I want the front to get my body line. Then I'm going to push it into place around here. I'm just going to land a little tack. I'll tack the holder. One more little tack. All right. Now, let's see what the door gap looks like. Very acceptable. I gotta hammer this edge in. This is formed kind of wonky here. See how the new piece like bows out and then goes back in. So the gap's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be better than it was. This is gonna work out perfect. Body lines are ish, but it looks good. Door gaps are good. I'm feeling it fit good down there. I think I could plug it right there, maybe. Kind of get it where I want it. Right there. Woo! Well, we gotta be real careful not to warp this. We're below the body line, but it is what it is. This is sketchy welding way out here without getting everything really fit in place, but I've got to work it around, and this back corner is fighting me. That's why I'm doing it, but I've got a really tight gap here right now. What I'm going to do probably is put one more in here, hold the top, because this is the tight where I need a tight seam right up here, but you can see that looks good. The body line actually lines up really good on the door. And then I'm going to curl this in once I get this tacked up here, form it around to the inner piece. I can already feel it's feeling really tight in here where the inner piece is. And this is going to be really nice. That's going to be like brand new. It's got a little funkiness going on down here just because of the way the panel is, but that's okay. We're gonna, this is going to come out pretty good. Pretty good. I'm going to hold that, blast it right there. Without burning through. Without burning through. If we're doing a really nice repair and you wanted to have a flange, you would flange your inside piece to get your metal to suck in flush. You step it back with a flanging tool, and then you can do an overlap seam or weld into a seam. But like I said, there's going to be a visible seam where we put this on, and it's going to be seam sealed. We're going to tape it and just have a little layer of seam sealer, but it's going to be below the body line, like I said 3 times, and it's going to be covered in fluid film and grunge. It's just a beater winter truck. It's not a show truck, and it's better than, you know, people zip screw these on. They use pop rivets to hold them on or whatever. At least we're getting attached good. Is the truck on fire? I don't see the interior on fire yet, so that's a good sign. But I like how it's going. It's going to be good. We are, and the wind is blowing, which makes it hard to weld, but we're getting it. Come on. It is what it is. Now, my cab corner over here, we're gonna have a little external weld. Get in there. There's a tiny little guy. All right. That's where that's got to be. We'll weld that last. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the last one here, the last 2. How does that look? Oh, it's straight as a whistle. Straight as a whistle. Man. Best body worker in the world right here goes this guy. Outside in the dark in the wind. Perfect. Okay, I used the vice grips and a couple of clamps. I clamped the lower edge together. I got that plug welded together. So let's go ahead and tighten up our door jamb here. Get a couple of welds into this so the doors stay open-ish. Back up onto the door striker. Where's my body hammer? Lost it. Where'd my hammer go? There it is. Oh, this is pretty good. We're just gonna get a tiny little tack on the corner of that, and then I'm just gonna roll this edge and do a bunch of probably just spot welds to the existing jamb in here. If you can see what we're doing, come over here. Hopefully the welder won't get burned up. Hopefully the camera won't get the welder here. Got some debris on my tip. All right, let's try it here. Okay. This guy needs a little... This light's supposed to be helping me. There we go. This pro tip is don't set the truck on fire. Okay. This has whoa. Like I said, this isn't going to be perfect. We're just going to kind of burn it in here where it lays. Looking good. There we go. Uh-oh. Had a fire. Think it's out. Just a couple of tacks. I'm not going to fully weld this, just tack it on here. Because I'll burn through. Like that. Go out. Got a fire back in there. All right. The risk of burning the truck up, we're just going to put a couple more on. That was paint. All right, I'm going to call that good there. Let's take a look at our door gap. Oh yeah, it's a little tight right here, but that's the manufacturer. The way they stamp this, it sticks out. We could just tap it a little bit there some more, if we're really concerned about it, but not really that concerned about it. Is what it is. Good enough for who it's for. Nice. So I just got to go under. I got to put a couple more plug welds in. I'm going to run around the back with a couple little welds here, and I'm going to. The back of the cab corner has got like a big empty void. I'm going to drill and put 2 1/4-20 stainless steel bolts in the back to pull the back of the panel. And then I'll just grind this down, throw a little primer on it, and then we'll just seam seal this gap. But I mean, this is essentially what it's going to look like. Black, green to black, but this will be so grungy you won't even really see the transition. It'll look like, what is that? Some kind of hot rod. Oh, it's an Audi. Guess it doesn't really count as a hot rod. That's that is substantial. It's not oil canned. It's locked right in. We got a heck of a repair here for, like I said, this isn't the right way to do it. The right way to do it would be to butt weld it with the interior out of the truck, which doesn't look like it's burning yet. Let's look. Don't see fire yet. Proper way to do this would have been to probably do a what do you call it, a butt weld all the way across below the line, blend it in, body work it and stuff, paint it nice. But we're not doing that. We're not a body shop. We're literally out here in the driveway just putting cab corners in here, but we've repaired all the inner structure, fixed up in the outer structure. This is perfect. Once I seam seal this, it'll last the life of the truck. It's fine. It's better than zip screws and rivets and stuff. It's plug welded on there. It's got weld through primer everywhere. It's as good as we can get out of doing this little fast repair, and it's saved the cab. The door jamb was going to start getting floppy and stuff, and once it's to that point, you know, the truck's on the way to being ruined. So this is 1,000 times better than what we had before, and I'll just clean it up and nobody will even know. Okay, I ground all the welds down. I've got the seam sealer back out here, and I'm just going to take some on my finger because I don't have a really small brush, and I'm going to work it into the seam. We got the tape here, and this stuff's kind of like self-leveling, but it dries very quickly, so I'm going to spread it into the gap of my finger and let it set for just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to pull the tape off, and you'll be left with a nice seam, nice even seam that kind of lay down there. But I'm working it down in with my finger into the panel. There's just a little bit of gap away from the upper panel to the lower panel, so I'm going to work the seam sealer in there, and it stays flexible. So as the truck, you know, expands and contracts and the body moves around, the seam sealer will stay flexible. It won't crack. Like if you'd use body filler here, I guess you could use reinforced fiberglass like Duraglass. You could probably get away with it. But if you used regular like polyester filler, it would crack eventually on the seam. It wouldn't be the right application for body filler. But this is going to be fine. Like I said, we're not going for quality. We're just going for what it's going to take to make it good. So I'm going to let that set up and go down under here under my plug welds. And try not to get any goo on the camera. I ground the plug welds, so I'm going to come in here and just put a little bit of seam sealer. What was a lot of seam sealer? A little bit of seam sealer on the plug welds because I got some imperfections in the welds. And just kind of smear this on here underneath and wipe it off so I don't see it up above. You know, this doesn't have to be real good. Just blow it up on there, coat the welds up good, and then we'll go ahead and prime it and paint it. I don't know if I gotta look for paint, but I have to go to the store and get some. This guy will mush some in there, and then we'll just kind of lay it over, do the best we can. And then here, and the door jamb, this is a nightmare to do and film at the same time, but we'll just smear it like that on my finger. If you can see that, I can't really see what you're looking at because I'm trying to look at what I'm doing. Hopefully you're looking in the same place I am. But we'll just spooge a little into the seam. That don't look too bad. And like I said, let me reiterate one more time. This is not a show vehicle. This is just rust preservation. So it is what it is. And that's all it's going to be. Let me rub a little on the edge here, where those welds were. That's all it's ever going to be. I can already feel the seam sealer setting up, so let me, yeah, look, it's already, man, I watched the, see it skinning over when I pull the tape off, but it'll bounce back. I wonder if I can kind of get my finger in there. There's just random little tails of seam sealer. I'll just kind of dance back up on here. Not going to be perfect, but there we go. You can see that. Just got a little seam. I'll hit it with some Scotch-Brite at the very end when it sets up just a little bit more. You know, I can take all the little pieces off, or I can get them with a razor blade or whatever. I'm just going to put a little bit of seam sealer on the welds. That's too much, so where it gets out of hand. Just want to put a little on the welds, fill any little pinholes in the welds in. Obviously you'll see that, but you know, I could have used a little bit of body filler and filled these plug weld voids and sanded it, but don't really care that much because it's gonna be hidden. Or, well, I don't really have that level of care because it's going to go away and get covered in grime and stuff, so you'll know, you know, you'll see them, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. So that's not bad. I'm going to stop playing with it before I wreck it. It's the next day. The primer has dried. Overnight I sprayed it, and you can see it's a little visible. We got some pop marks there from the, actually I should put a little more in that one. But you're going to see the seam, but we're going to go ahead and paint it black real fast. It's not going to matter. I am just going to throw just a tiny little bit of seam sealer into those holes. Tiny little dab. Right there, just like that. And another tiny little dab. Right there, just like that. Perfect. Nobody's even going to know. I'm not even going to wait for it to dry. I'm going to paint right over it right now because I'm in a time crunch. I ain't got time to wait for stuff to dry. Got some Rust-Oleum flat black here. We're just going to go ahead and whip her up on. This stuff is, don't need to sand it because it's within the time frame we're respraying. Ooh, it's windy. It's just kind of dusted up on here. And oh yeah, oh yeah. Nobody's even gonna know that we did a repair. You can't even tell. So you can see in the shininess of this a little bit, you can see everything, but once this stuff flattens out and it gets the grunge on it from fluid film, you're never ever gonna see this. And if you can, I don't care because it's better than rust. We just made it better. We're not making it perfect. This is my winter beater F250, not a show truck. And under here you can see the plug welds. We're just gonna go ahead and rattle can over all them. Rattle can all the stuff flat black under here. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Can't even tell we're here. This is so factory. Man, I should do concourse restorations of old body style trucks because this is 100%. 100%. It smells like paint under here. Get the back of the cab. You can see how I did this here to the cab with the, what do you call it, seam sealer. It's all good in the hood. And mint. Yeah, it's flattening out already. You'll be able to see a little bit of it, but do I care? No. This is 1,000 times better than it's looked in years. and it's going to last the life of the truck good enough for who it's for. Bam. So I'll let that dry. We'll unmask it for the final shot, but this is a way, not the right way, but a way to restore, put a cab corner in a Super Cab old body style. This is 95 F250, and we've done it. It's on a scale of 1 out of 10, I think we're at about a 4.5 to 5. But guess what? It's going to last the life of the truck, and that's all I'm worried about. That's the quality you get here. This is one step above zip screws and liquid nails. We actually used the welder. There goes my pad. I guess I don't need that anymore. We actually used a welder and did something, so it'll look good for years to come. Bam, just like that. You can't even tell that we put a cab corner in it. Now, I guess I could have smoothed my finger over that as we peeled the teep off and smoothed the seam sealer up just a little bit, because it's kind of ridged up there, but I mean, it doesn't look that bad. And once I put the fluid film on there, that line will kind of disappear, because you see how grungy and nasty it is up there. But we've fixed it. There ain't no rust in there anymore, and it's back together, and it's good enough for who it's for. Looks mint. I've got a little access hole in here. I can shoot fluid film once the paint dries all the way. I'm going to stick my little aerosol can of fluid film back in this little slot right here, and I'm going to blow it back in here, and it's going to seep down in the seams between the outer layer and the inner layer and prevent that from rusting, especially where we plug welded it. I'll just hit it and flow it right in there. It'll seep and run out. This flat black, every time I put fluid film on something I want to stick, flat black is the answer. If you're going to paint like a frame or an underside chassis or anything you want fluid film to stick to forever, paint it flat black, because the stuff creeps on it like nobody's business and it just bites right into it. So that's why I painted it flat black instead of trying to paint it green, or, well, this is hard to color match this truck, but the black is going to be perfect and seal right up. I also added some mud flaps. I got these at the trailer place. They wrap way up around there. I screwed them in. Fluid film does curl plastic too sometimes, like the inner fenders are plastic and they're curled. And I had some mud flaps on here before, but they curled up after a few years, and I got one caught in a snowbank and ripped it off. But these guys are going to add some protection. I've got them zip tied to the inner fenders back there so they can't really come back ahead, and they're pretty stiff. They're like an 1/8 inch thick. So I added them to keep some salt off the bottom of the truck. Over here on the driver's side, I'm going to do this off camera because you already seen it once. It's going to be the same process, but a few years ago this side was worse, and I just bent up a piece of sheet metal and I just zip screwed it right over the hole, and now it's rotting from the underneath. You can see there's actually some surface rust coming on there, and there's some orange rust coming out because it was still rusting from behind. So I'm going to do the same thing, saw it off, saw this out, make my new inner piece and add a new one. But you can see how nasty that looked with the screws and the seam, and actually it isn't even really that noticeable, just with all that ugliness on it. So that's why I said with the seam sealer and the paint and stuff and the fluid film, you're not going to see it in the future. But all I care about is not having holes in my truck. So thanks for watching me put a cab corner in my truck. My Super Cab, they all rot because of that foam where I showed you in the beginning of the video. And we just took some cheap parts. I bought them cab corners from Rock Auto. I don't even know who made them, but there's many places online that carry sheet metal. I like to use, what's the company I like to use? A lot of times when I do these projects, I use panels from Raybuck Auto Parts, R-A-Y-B-U-C-K. I've used a bunch of their panels on different things, and they make panels for this truck pretty reasonable. That might have been where the Rock Auto Parts came from, I'm not sure, but I know there's a sticker on the back of that cab corner from Rock Auto where I showed you from 6 years ago. So it took me 6 years to get around to fixing this, but man, it's a lot better than it was, and it'll last the life of the truck. Like I said in the beginning and several times through the video, this is not the right way to do it. It's a way to do it, and I showed you how to do the right thing the wrong way just by scabbing it on there and plug welding on there, but it will make a good enough repair for the life of the truck. That's all I care about. It's keeping the water out of the truck. It's not letting the thing rot away and have the door jambs get all floppy and ruin the cab. So we fixed it. It'll last the length of the truck. So before you roast me in the comments, watch the whole video and please understand what we're doing. You know, save the comments of, oh, the body shop, and that's not how you do it. It's how we did it good enough for what this truck is. There's levels of things. You know, you don't need to be a metal finishing $200,000 restoration guy when you're driving an old truck in the wintertime. It's better than it was. That's all I care about. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here, fixing old rusty junk and working on nicer stuff like the C10 behind me at the Quick Speed Shop.